All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back here from beautiful Frankton Town and Country Park, where this afternoon we've got three big ones coming your way. It's the, quote, final four teams left here at the 12U Senior State Finals. And the first one is going to be a good one. It's going to be Fairfield taking on Rochester. The winner of this one gets a trip to the finals tomorrow at 6. The loser will come back and play at 5:30 against the winner of game number 2, which is going to be Plymouth taking on Frankton. That Plymouth-Frankton game is a rematch of game number 1 that Frankton won 3-0 over Plymouth on Friday evening. So should be three very good games here as we're getting down to it. At the end of the day, we'll have our two teams set for the championship. So we appreciate all your viewership here this week on RTC TV4. And we'll get the starting lineups and get the national anthem get underway here in just a moment. Be back with that in just a moment here on RTC TV4.
Once again, welcome to Frankton. Hope you had a safe trip here this morning. Looking forward to seeing this game. We'll get started here in just a few minutes with a couple of quick announcements. One, once again, a reminder the bathrooms are on the south side of the concession stand. If you haven't been there, the concession stand is open. We have hamburgers, brats, hot dogs, popcorn. Photo services for some time, but Barb has gone to great lengths to make sure that everyone has some good pictures. Louis here today, finalist on the photo itself. There's a limited quantity of that, and if Barb snaps any more photos for anybody that wants them, I don't think those logos are on there anymore at this point. So anyway, just stop by, see Louis. It's very special you're here, and hey, there's only 4 teams left. So you're one of 4 teams still playing. We do have the Town and Country's 12U state finalists decals that go on your car. In the concession stand. There's only just a few of those left, but they're $5. So we'll get started here in just a second.
All right, for the visiting team, Rochester.
All right, welcome back here to Frankton as we get set to go. Rochester and Fairfield for a trip to the championship. Ought to be a good one. Rochester going to be the visitors for you this morning or this afternoon. Fairfield will be your home team. So familiar lineup here for the Zebras. Going to be Wyatt Davis, number 29, in the number 1 slot. He'll be out in center. In the number 2 slot, number 5, Drew Bowers playing second. 3 batter is going to be number 10, Tanner Reinhardt. He'll be starting off on the mound. 4th slot, Xavier Vance, number 13. He'll be at short. Batting 5th is going to be number 6, Grant Clark. He'll be catching. Batting 6th will be number 2, Brady Morgan. He'll be at 3rd. Batting 7th, number 18, Callan Fervita. He'll be in left field. Batting 8th will be Wesley Haynes, number 17, playing 1st. Batting in the 9th slot is going to be number 3, Wade Bowers. He'll be out in right. Available for substitution, number 7, Brock Hook, number 12, Isaiah Escobar, and 21, Owen Prater. For the home team on the board this afternoon, it'll be Eli Miller catching, followed by Garrett Stoltzfus in center, Andrew Matthews, the extra hitter, batting 4th, Keegan Miller in left, 5th, Hunter Kaufman in short, 6th, Kirkendorfer in right, Garber at 1st, Snyder at 2nd, Sin at 3rd, Bailey the pitcher, and available for substitution, Cole McLeod and Isaac Mast. Let's get our national anthem and get underway. All right, here we go. We're getting set to go. Game number 1 of day number 4. It's actually game 11 of the tournament. It's going to be Fairfield and Rochester with a trip to the championship game on the line. The winner plays tomorrow at 6. The loser has to come back this afternoon and play at 5:30 against the winner of the Plymouth and Frankton game. That ought to be a dandy coming up next at 3. Want to take a minute and thank everyone here at Frankton for their hospitality all week long. It's been great. I had some. They've fed me all week long. They've been very courteous. Paul even offered up his couch to me. Said I would take that if I didn't have to go home and do the chores. My wife and daughter are down in Louisiana this week for a little vacation, so I got to go home and take care of all the goats that my daughter has accumulated over the last year and a half. In other words, I'd probably be sleeping on Paul's couch. So we do appreciate it. We thanks to Paul and his crew. They've done a fine job. The field is in great shape. Again, game number 11 out here in this heat all week long, and for them to be able to keep this field in the condition it is a testament to their hard work. So we're going to get set to go. Wyatt Davis going to be leading things off with the pitcher for Fairfield. They got their Nate Bailey is going to be leading things off for Fairfield on the mound. And at this point in the tournament, it gets a little tricky with your pitching. You got to, each pitcher is allowed 4 innings per game, but they're only allowed 12 innings for the tournament. So it's kind of a chess match when you get to this point. You want to make it to that championship game, but you want to save your stud for the championship game, but you got to get there to do it. So Bailey starts things off, and the first pitch in for a strike to Wyatt Davis. We're underway with game number 11. Davis sends that out of shallow right. Getting underneath it out there and making the catch is the right fielder, Braden Kirkendorfer, for out number 1.
Number 5, Drew Bauer.
That brings up the second baseman, number 5, Drew Bowers, with 1 down. Tanner Reinhardt's pitcher on deck. Right back to Bailey. 1 pitch, out number 2. So great start here for Fairfield. Brings up the pitcher, number 10, Tanner Reinhardt's, with 2 outs. Nobody on for the Zebras. I think that's the 4th pitch that Bailey has thrown in the inning and has 2 outs. So that one misses outside. If Reinhardt's able to get on, number 13, Xavier Vance, is on deck for Rochester. There's a shot out in the left. And that is out of the park. So Reinhardt's gets the Zebras on the board here in the top of the first with a solo shot out into left. That's the 2nd home run for Reinhardt's. He had 1 yesterday as well. Brings up Big X, Xavier Vance, with 2 outs, nobody on. Notice I waited an extra second on that, make sure that was actually out.
There was no question.
Yeah.
It was gone.
Had a couple yesterday that actually bounced over the fence for ground rule doubles that we thought were out. And Vance sends one over to second for out number 3, but the Zebras get on the board with a solo shot by Tanner Reinhardt's. So after half inning, Rochester leads Fairfield 1-0. When we come back for Fairfield, it's going to be Eli Miller, Garrett Stoltzfus, and Andrew Matthews, first 3 batters. On the mound for the Zebras is going to be big number 10, Tanner Reinhardt's, when we come back here on RTC TV4. All right, welcome back here as we get set for the bottom of the first. Tanner Reinhardt's on the mound for the Zebras. Eli Miller going to be leading things off with Stoltzfus and Matthews, your first three batters. Reinhardt's got the Zebras on the board with a 2-out solo shot to left field. Let's see if he can do his normal work here on the mound. He's got 5 innings left, I believe Coach Bauer said before the game, so they're going to try and get him 3 today and save 2, I guess, for tomorrow, hoping that they are able to advance. Like I was talking about in that top of the first, this is a chess match once you get to this point, trying to save your pitchers innings, but you also want to advance. So 2 balls and 1 strike here for Miller, getting things underway here in the bottom of the first for Fairfield. There's a shot over, hard hit to Bowers, and Miller's going to be on. It's going to bring up Stoltzfus with Matthews on deck. That one in there for strike 1 from Reinhardt's. Throw over. Miller back in time. These are 2 teams coming out of District 1. We've seen Rochester obviously a lot, being our hometown team, but we've seen this Fairfield team quite a bit over the last 2 years. And we've kind of seen this team grow up in front of our eyes. They were a state qualifier last year as the second team from Fairfield that qualified. They went out quickly, but they were a young team, basically the entire team back. And you can see the maturity coming back here in the second year for them. Stoltzfus strikes out, and Matthews is up with Keegan Miller on deck. And a swing and a miss for strike 1. So Reinhardt seems to be on here early. Bunt attempt. That's going to be strike 2, so Matthews going to have to swing away here with 2 strikes. And Matthews goes down swinging, so 2 outs after a leadoff hit by Miller. Brings up Keegan Miller with Hunter Kaufman on deck. And Miller swing and a miss. No balls, 2 strikes. That one's fouled back. And Miller able to fight that one off and stay alive. Still no balls, 2 strikes. Just misses the outside corner there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's another beautiful day here in Frankton. Mid-80s as we come in game number 1. And Miller making Reinhardt's do a little work here, fighting off another 1-2 count pitch. Count 2-2 here for Miller. A great at bat here by Keegan Miller, making Reinhardt's work, seeing a lot of pitches. 5, 6, 7. This should be pitch number 9 here of this at bat. And there's a hard hit ball out into right. That's going to be up against the fence. Miller chasing Miller. And the throw to third. And Miller going to be in on the error at third for run number 1 and 2 for Fairfield. So some aggressive base running there by the Fairfield squad. Nets 2 runs off of the big hit by Miller. Second error of the inning for Rochester, and Fairfield has regained the lead here 2-1. That one misses inside. Count goes 2 balls, 2 strikes. Another hard hit ball out into right. That's going to trail just foul by about a foot. Count stays 2 balls, 2 strikes. Zebra's trying to get the third out here in the bottom of the first. Keegan Miller with a big shot out into right and an error at third, able to score. Scores Fairfield 2, Rochester 1 here in the bottom of the first. Full count now for Kaufman. On deck, number 18, Braden Kirkendorfer. Kaufman fouls that one off. Fairfield hitters doing a good job here, making Reinhardt's work, trying to find this third out. There's a chopper. That's going to be trouble. Kirkendorfer beats that one out and gets on. Or Kaufman beats that one out and gets on for Kirkendorfer now up to the plate, with Grady Garber on deck. So Fairfield still alive here in the bottom of the first. That one gets away from Clark. Kaufman going to move over to second. Another error by Rochester, and Kaufman with some aggressive base running. Nets another run for Fairfield. Errors piling up for Rochester here in the bottom of the first. Not the point in the tournament here where you want to start throwing the ball around the field. That's a hard hit ball. And Davis able to come in and get out number 3, but the damage was done with 2 outs here by Fairfield. They get 3 runs, 3 errors by Rochester, and they were costly ones. After 1, it's Fairfield 3 and Rochester 1. We'll be back here with the top of the second Grant Clark, Brady Morgan, and Callan Fervita coming up for the Zebras. All right, so the Zebras have some ground to make up here in the top of the second. Took the early lead 1-0, but Fairfield gets 3 runs in the bottom of the first. So after one, Fairfield leads 3-1. Up first for Rochester is going to be Clark, and he is quickly down. No balls, 2 strikes. And Clark goes down swinging on 3 pitches for out number 1, bringing up Brady Morgan with Callan Fervita on deck. That bottom of the first was a rough half inning for Rochester with 3 costly errors that led to basically the 3 runs for Fairfield. So they got some ground to make up, trailing by 2 here in the top of the second. Morgan doing a nice job here, waiting for a good pitch. 3 balls and no strikes from Bailey. Morgan's going to walk on 4. Bringing up Fervita with Wesley Haynes on deck. We have 1 out here in the top of the second for Rochester. So Bailey got Clark out on 3 pitches and has now thrown 5 balls in a row. 1 ball, no strike here to Fervita with Morgan on first. That's ball 2 for Callan. There's a little dribbler over to short, over to first. Not in time to set, or they get the runner at second. Not in time to get Fervita at first. So 2 outs with Wesley Haynes up. That one's going to be fouled back out of play for strike 1. So Haynes has 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 down here in the top of the second with Fervita on at first for Rochester. That one's poked just foul, so he's getting closer with it. Count, though, goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Let's see if West can get that one straightened out. Get this in play here, maybe move Fairfield over with Wade Bowers on deck. That one in the dirt. Fairfield. Throw is off, so Calvin in at second. Count is 2-2 for Haynes. That one down in the dirt for ball 3, so the count now full here for Haynes. Bailey comes set. There's a shot out into center coming in, making the catch out there is center fielder Garrett Stoltzfus for out number 3. So Rochester gets no runs, leaves 1 on. Had no hits in the top of the second. We're going to go to the bottom of the second with the score: Fairfield 3, Rochester 1. Garber, Snyder, and Sin coming up for Fairfield when we get back here on RTC TV4. All right, Garber going to lead things off here for Fairfield in the bottom of the second. Reinhardt's on the mound for Rochester. Zebras down 2 runs here, 3-1 after an inning and a half. On deck, Snyder with Sin in the hole. Tanner gets that one in for a strike. There's a bunt, but that's going to be hard hit over to Morgan in time. So out number 1 for the Zebras. It's going to bring up number 15, Anthony Snyder, with Matthew Sin on deck. Snyder goes after that outside fastball for strike 1. Fouls that back, so quickly 0-2 for Snyder. And a swing and a miss for out number 2, bringing up Sin with Bailey on deck. 2 outs, nobody on here for Fairfield. Oh, and this is outside. That one's fouled back. off the ump. He's walking that off. That one was a hard hit foul. He's had a rough one here this week. He took a nice shot yesterday in the collarbone area. That one left some bruising for him, so doing a good job here for us behind the plate. That one outside, 3 balls, 1 strike. Fouls that one back, full count now. 2 down here in the bottom of inning number 2. Fairfield leads 3-1. Payoff pitch from Reinhardt's coming here for Sin. Holds off for the walk. A rare walk issued by Reinhardt's. That's going to bring up the pitcher Nate Bailey with Eli Miller on deck. That went in there for strike 1. Bailey swing and a miss. No balls, 2 strikes. Throw over to first just to keep Sin honest there. Keep him at the base. Foul tip. Clark takes one there. That's a foul tip back into the catcher. So the catcher and the umpire taking foul shots here in the bottom of the second. They're both going to have to ice after this inning. So since he wasn't able to corral that one, that's going to stay no balls, 2 strikes. And that's going to do it. Bailey goes down looking for out number 3. No runs, no hits, 1 left on base for Fairfield in the bottom of the second. After 2, score stays. Fairfield 3, Rochester 1. We'll be back here with the top of the third. Wade Bowers, Wyatt Davis, and Drew Bowers for the Zebras when we come back here on RTC TV4. All right, welcome back here. Getting set to go top of the third. Wade Bowers going to lead things off for the Zebras. Then back up top with Wyatt Davis on deck and Drew Bowers in the hole for Rochester. Nate Bailey on the mound, starting the third here for Fairfield. Inside, 2 balls, no strikes. There's a shot, little dribbler over to second in time for out number 1. It's going to bring up the leadoff hitter Wyatt Davis. Popped out to right field to start the game off for Rochester. Takes that one high, ball 1. See some Plymouth folks out there in right field. They're going to be playing coming up here next. That one's going to drop in foul territory for strike 1. That'll be a good one coming up for you next here on RTC TV4. Plymouth taking on Frankton for the second time in the tournament. Frankton was able to hold Plymouth off on Friday, winning 3-0. First time that Plymouth team has been shut out the entire season. So they're going to be wanting to come back here and get their bats rolling against Frankton. That will be an elimination game at 3 p.m. The loser goes home. The winner will play immediately after that against the loser of this game here between Fairfield and Rochester. All right, so the ump taking a beating here this afternoon, another foul ball, and he's getting back up there and going. So that one is out of play for Davis. Count stays 1 ball, 2 strikes. We're gonna have to get him some collision insurance. He's taking a beating here this week. Swing and a miss. Davis goes down for out number 2. Bringing up Drew Bowers. One pitch lined right back to the pitcher in his first at bat. There's a shot right up the middle. That's going to get past. Nice job by Kaufman there at short to keep the ball in the infield, but Bowers is going to be aboard with an infield single with 2 outs, bringing up number 10, Tanner Reinhardt. Reinhardt's had the solo shot back in the first, put the Zebras ahead. So 2 down here. Reinhardt's with 1 on. See if he can duplicate his efforts from the first inning here against Bailey. That one's going to be outside, ball 1. Can't pitch around Reinhardt's with Vance on deck. I guess you could. You could potentially put Reinhardt's and Vance on for Clark, but Clark can hit the ball as well. They're not going to give Reinhardt's anything here. So looks like they're going to walk him unintentionally, intentionally. Oh, that one in. So Reinhardt's does walk. So that'll bring up Big X. Been struggling a little bit from the plate here the last few games. Let's see if he can get that bat going. One swing of the bat from X could put the Zebras back ahead here with 2 on here in the top of the third. Let's see what Bailey does. That one down, ball 2. Grant Clark on deck for Rochester with 2 outs. There's a shot up the middle. That should get one in. If Bowers can round, they're going to hold him. So Vance advances the runners. Nice hit up the middle there by X. Brings up Grant Clark. Grant struck out to lead off the second here for the Zebras. Comes up with the bases loaded. 2 outs here in the top of the third. There's a swing and a miss for strike 1. Miller making some adjustments. Not sure if he tweaked his ankle or it looks like he might have tweaked his ankle a little bit. Kind of working that left leg there a little bit. So no balls, 1 strike here for Grant Clark. Bases loaded, 2 outs, top of the third. Swing and a miss for strike 2. So Clark's got to find a way to get this ball in play, or at least foul something off, keep his at bat alive. And he can't. Swing and a miss. So the Zebras leave 3 on here in the top of the third. Clark goes down swinging, so no runs. 2 hits and 3 left on for Rochester. After 2.5, score stays. Fairfield 3, Rochester 1. When we come back here for the bottom of the third for Fairfield, back to the top with Eli Miller, Garrett Stoltzfus, and Andrew Matthews. Thanks for watching RTC TV4.
have some family friends that can't be here today that is interested in watching the game. We do have RTC TV4 here. Steve's up here in the tower with us commentating, and those games are live on the website at rtctv4.com. So call your friends, family if they can't be here, and have them log on and watch the boy live.
All right, getting set. Bottom of the third. Leadoff hitter for Fairfield is going to be their leadoff hitter, Eli Miller, with Stoltzfus and Matthews. New pitcher on the mound, Xavier Vance for the Zebras. Trying to save some innings here for Reinhardt's. I think he has 3 left after this. That's going to be right up the line there for a leadoff bunt. Miller is aboard. Stoltzfus with Matthews on deck. A little bit of confusion on that bunt by Miller from the Zebras. Two-0 count here for Stoltzfus. That one gets away. Miller going to second. This is a Fairfield team not afraid to play small ball. They'll bunt their way on, and Rochester's got to be aware of that. That one catches outside corner for strike one. I was talking to Coach Bowers a little bit before the game, and that was one of his big concerns, was the ability by this Fairfield team to play small ball. Vance able to get it there for out number one. Miller moves over to third with Matthews up and Keegan Miller on deck. So everybody on this infield for Rochester is going to have to be aware and know what to do here if there's a bunt laid down. And Matthews looking to do just that. Got Morgan in at third here, trying to cover. That one's going to be laid down foul, so 2 strikes. So Matthews will have to swing away, protect with no balls, and 2 strikes. Miller stays at third. 1 down here in the bottom of the third. That one is cracked foul. Count stays 1 ball, 2 strikes. And another one battled off by Matthews. Making Vance do some work here. Quality at bat for Andrew Matthews. Keegan Miller on deck with Kaufman in the hole for Fairfield. It's going to be inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Inside as well. Count goes full here for Matthews. Rochester trying to get the second out here in the bottom of the third. Matthews with a quality at bat here. Pitch number 8. And a swing and a miss. So Vance wins this one. Gets out number 2 for Keegan Miller coming up with 2 down. And a runner at third. Hunter Kaufman on deck for Fairfield. That one outside. That one in the dirt. Miller thinks about it, stays at third. 2 balls and no strikes here for Keegan Miller. Eli Miller on third. On deck, number 27, Hunter Kaufman. Miller had the triple and then scored on the error back in the first. Count now 3 balls and no strikes here for Eli Miller. Keegan Miller, sorry. Fouls that one back into the park for strike 1. There's a shot, hard hit out into center, and that is over the scoreboard, or I don't know what that board is. Oh, I got to get it. 2-run shot for Keegan Miller. And Fairfield has increased their lead with 2 outs to 5-1 now over Rochester. Kaufman up with nobody on and 2 down here in the bottom of the third. That one catches the outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike. So Keegan Miller has had a whale of a game here. He's been to plate twice. Had a triple and then scored on a error in the first, and then just had a 2-run home run. So he's responsible for 4 of the 5 Fairfield runs here this afternoon, and after, and not even after 3 yet, but the Fairfield leads now 5-1 over the Zebras. That's strike 2, Kaufman. On deck, Braden Kirkendorfer. You take another one? The home plate umpire, Kali, give him a big shout out. He's taking a beating here this afternoon. 4th one? 4th one he's taken today. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Kaufman. That one misses. Count goes to 2-2. That one misses. Count goes full now for Kaufman. And Kaufman going to battle back and get the walk. So Kaufman on with 2 outs. He's going to bring up Braden Kirkendorfer. That one is going to be played by Reinhardt, not in time. Nice effort there by Reinhardt out of the deep hole at short. But runner safe. Kaufman, Kirkendorfer in with an infield single. So with 2 down, Grady Garber comes up. He tried to bunt back in the second, was thrown out at first. So Rochester trying to get out of this 3rd inning here, 2 runs across. And that's going to be out number 3 as that one is right to Reinhardt's. But the big 2-run shot by Keegan Miller adds 2 more, and after 3, it's Fairfield 5, Rochester 1. Bat's going to have to liven up here for the Zebras when we come back. Brady Morgan, Callan Fervida, and Wesley Haynes coming up for the Zebras. All right, the Zebras coming up here in the top of the 4th. Morgan gets a little blooper out in a center, but coming in making the catch for Fairfield is Stoltzfus for out number 1. So 1 pitch, 1 out here for Fairfield. New pitcher for Fairfield on the mound is Matthews. And Matthews hits Fervita. So Callan going to be on the hit by pitch. Brings up Wesley Haynes with one out with Wade Bowers on deck. Nate Bailey went 3 innings for Fairfield. Bailey gave up 1 run on 3 hits in 3 innings pitched. Had 1 strikeout for Fairfield. Haynes, that one takes a hop over to second, over to first. They turn 2, and that's going to retire the side. Great job there by Fairfield. 4-6-3 on the double play. Gets the 3rd out of the inning. And we're going to go to the bottom of the 4th with Fairfield still ahead 5-1. Anthony Snyder, Matthew Sin, and Nate Bailey coming up here in a moment on RTC TV4. All right, welcome back here to beautiful Frankton Town Country Youth League Field here in Frankton, Indiana. We are in game number 11 of the 12U Senior State Finals. Have 4 teams left. This game here between Fairfield and Rochester is not an elimination game. Neither one of these teams has lost yet, so the winner will advance. They'll play tomorrow at 6 in the championship game. The loser will have to come back this afternoon at 5:30 and play against the winner of game number 12, which is coming up next between Plymouth and Frankton. New pitcher on the mound for Rochester as we get into the bottom of the 4th is going to be number 5, Drew Bowers. Reinhardt's went 2, Vance went 1 for the Zebras. Snyder lays that one down foul for strike 1. Again, as we were talking in the pregame, this is just one of those things here. You got to play this chess match. You know, do you trailing 5-1 now? Do you pitch your, you know, who do you put on the mound, because you have a limited number of innings for each of your pitchers. So they're going to put Bowers on the mound. There's a solid pitcher for Rochester. He can throw some strikes here. Let's see what he can do here in the fourth for the Zebras. Still not out of this, but trailing by 4 runs. And Reinhardt's there. I'm going to give, that's an error. So Snyder is aboard. Matthew Sin with Nate Bailey on deck. Trying to take Bailey out there with that foul ball. Gonna be strike 1 for Sin. So 1 ball, 1 strike here for Matthew Sin. Here in the bottom of inning number 4, Fairfield leading 5-1 over the Zebras. Nice pitch from Bowers. Drops off the table, and Sin swing and a miss for strike 2. Keegan Miller has been instrumental in 4 of these 5 runs for Fairfield this afternoon. Had a huge hit in the first. Had a triple with an error that scored him on that play. And then had a 2-run home run in the third. Sin able to battle that one off. Count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. No outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Runner on first. Nate Bailey on deck. And that one's going to go foul. So the count stays 2-2. Swing and a miss for out number 1. Nice pitch there from Bowers. Gets Sin down swinging. Brings up Nate Bailey with Eli Miller on deck for Fairfield. Game 12 coming up next. Ought to be a dandy between Plymouth and Frankton. Gets the outside corner. Second time those 2 teams have played. They started the tournament off on Friday. There's a pop out of on foul territory. It's going to drop for strike 2. Plymouth and Frankton played Friday night, and that was a dandy. Frankton won 3-0 with Morris pitching a beaut. It's a beaut, Clark. Great job by Morris in that one, and shut out a very dangerous Plymouth team. That one's popped back out of play. Count stays, no balls, 2 strikes for Nate Bailey. So that'll be another one too. Those teams, you know, we'll see who has what left as far as pitcher availability when that game comes up between Plymouth and Frankton. I know I don't know a ton about the pitching depth of the Frankton team, but I know Plymouth seems like almost every one of their kids can pitch at a pretty good level. So ought to be an interesting game coming up. Plymouth trying to battle back out of that loser's bracket. And that one's going to drop in front of Davis for a single. Move Snyder over to second. So Bailey in with a 1-out single. And that's going to bring up the leadoff hitter, Eli Miller. So a good job there by Bailey, battling off a couple of pitches. Finds the one that he wants and sends it out into center. That one fouled back. Strike one to Eli Miller. Garrett Stoltzfus on deck. Miller is 2 for 2, scored both times in the third, first and third. There's a bunt. That's going to be trouble. Nice job by Bowers getting that one down for the out. That one looked like it was going to be on for Miller. So Bowers with the hustle and effort gets the out. Runners do advance. Snyder at third and Bailey at second. Brings up Garrett Stoltzfus with Andrew Matthews on deck. Stoltzfus is 0 for 2, had a strikeout in the first, grounded out to the pitcher in the third. Rochester trying to get out of this fourth inning here. Runners at second and third for Fairfield. There's a shot over to second. Should be routine over to first, and that is. So Zebra is able to get out of the fourth. Fairfield scores no runs. Had 2 hits and left 2 on base. So Rochester still has some ground to make up, trailing by 4, 5-1 after 4. When we come back, for Rochester, it's going to be Wade Bowers, Wyatt Davis, and Drew Bowers as we get into the 5th inning. Be back here in a moment. You're watching RTC TV4.
Number 12, Isaiah Escobar.
All right, that one is popped up quickly for out number 1. Didn't even get a chance to introduce Isaiah Escobar taking Wade Bowers' spot.
Number 29, Wyatt Davis.
Davis lays down a bunt, and quickly 2 pitches, 2 outs for the Zebras.
Number 5, Drew Bowers.
And that's going to bring up number 5, Drew Bowers, with 2 outs here in the 5th. That one misses outside. Bowers can get on. Reinartz is on deck. Andrew Matthews on the mound here for Fairfield for the 2nd inning of work. That went in for strike 1. 2 balls, 1 strike here for Bowers. Three balls, 1 strike. Bowers trying to get on with 2 outs. There's a shot out into center. Coming over to make the play for out number 3 is Stoltzfus. And the Zebras go down 1, 2, 3 in the top of the 5th. So Fairfield holding on to that 5-1 lead here after 4.5. Coming back for Fairfield, it's going to be Matthews, Keegan Miller, and Hunter Kaufman. When we come back for the bottom of the 5th, be back here in a moment on RTC TV4. All right, welcome back here as we get set. Bottom of the 5th. Leading off for Fairfield, it's going to be Andrew Matthews with Keegan Miller and Hunter Kaufman, your first 3 batters. Fairfield leads 5-1 after 4.5. Fairfield team looking like a team that potentially could be making its way into tomorrow's championship game. The winner will do that. Has a 4-run lead here as we get into the bottom of the 5th. One more opportunity for Rochester, but they got to get Fairfield out clean here and then try and get their bats going in the top of the 6th. Starts here with Matthews. Powers on the mound for his 2nd inning of work for the Zebras. There's a shot over to Vance. That's a good way to start. 1 pitch, 1 out for Rochester. That's going to bring up Keegan Miller. His bat has been huge here this afternoon for Fairfield. A triple and a home run, scoring both times. Bowers is probably not going to give him anything over the plate here with Hunter Kaufman on deck. Kirkendorfer in the hole. Fouls that one back over the press box. Two balls and 1 strike for Keegan Miller. Bowers catches the corner here. Has an opportunity. 2 balls, 2 strikes. See if he can get Miller out. That one is a little bit too far outside. Count is full now for Miller. There's a hard hit ball, might be another one, and that is a home run for Keegan Miller. Home run number 2 for Miller of the game. Same spot too, right over center field. Over the board, out of the park. He's having a pretty good game. That's what Paul says. Yes, he's having a decent game. So Fairfield adds 1 here in the bottom of the 5th to their lead. Makes it 5-run lead now. Score is 6-1. 6 unanswered runs here by Fairfield. As Rochester took the early lead on the Tanner Reinhardt's home run in the top of the 1st, but they've been blanked ever since. Nice little change up there. Gets Kaufman for out number 2. It's going to bring up right fielder Braden Kirkendorfer. 1 for 2 on the afternoon. Had a single back in the third for Fairfield. Swing and a miss makes the count 1 ball, 1 strike for Kirkendorfer. On deck is Grady Garber. There is strike 2. That's fouled back. Count stays 1 ball, 2 strikes. Shot over to second, play over to first for out number 3. Fairfield adds 1 on the home run from Keegan Miller. And after 5 innings, it's Fairfield 6, Rochester 1. When we come back here, top of the 6th for the Zebras, it's going to be the meat of their lineup. It's going to be Reinartz, Vance, and Clark. So they've got some ground to make up. One last opportunity here for the Zebras. Winner plays tomorrow at 6. Loser has to come back and play at 5:30 here this afternoon. We'll be back here in just a moment. Thanks for tuning in to our coverage here from Frankton on RTC TV4. All right, top of inning number 6, do or die here for the Zebras, trailing by 5 after 5. And the new pitcher on the mound for Fairfield in the 6th inning is going to be number 28, Isaac Mast. It's going to be Reinartz, Vance, and Clark, first 3 batters here for Rochester. That one's fouled back out of play. Reinartz is 1 for 1 with a walk. Had the home run in the top of the 1st to give Rochester the early 1-0 lead. Takes that one, ball 1 in the dirt. Game number 12 of the Town & Country 12U Senior State Finals coming up next. Reinartz gets it done again. Another solo shot for Tanner Reinartz. He's been the offense here for Rochester this afternoon. Adds a run here in the top of the 6th. We'll see if they can add some more here. Still trailing by 4. Big X up to the plate here for Rochester. Let's see if he can get it done. Nice cut on that one. He wanted it. Just trailed away a little bit. Not able to get a hold of it. So 1 ball and 1 strike here for Vance. Grant Clark on deck for the Zebras. Reinhardt's with 2 home runs today. Keegan Miller with 2 home runs today. We've seen more home runs in this game than we've seen in the entire tournament. So bats coming alive. Just gets a piece of that one. 3 balls, 2 strikes now for Vance. One for 2 on the day is Vance, and he'll take the walk. Still no outs here in the top of the 6th. Brings up the catcher, number 6, Grant Clark, with Brady Morgan on deck. Actually looks like Prater's going to take the spot for Morgan. Clark takes that one inside. 2 balls, no strikes. That one fouled back for strike 1. Two balls and 1 strike for Clark. That one catches the outside corner, 2-2. Clark able to fight that one off, stays alive. Outside, count goes full. That was close there, the outside corner. Just a bit farther than the, that one in the dirt, so Clark is gonna walk. So a little bit of a rally here in the top of the 6th for the Zebras, 2 aboard, still no outs. It's gonna bring up Owen Prater coming in, pinch hitting for Brady Morgan. On deck is Brock Hook, who's going to come in for Fervida. Prater a little late on that one. Strike 1. Two balls and 1 strike for Prater. Holds off. 3-1. Fairfield trying to close this one out. Rochester with 2 on, still nobody out. 3-1 here for Prater. And he's going to take the walk, and the bases will be loaded for Brock Hook. Coming in for Fervida. And Fairfield probably not going to take any chances here with the lead down to 4. Tying run represented at the plate by Hook. All right, so Mast going to stay on. Coach talks things over here as we have no outs, bases loaded. Brock Hook at the plate. Going to have a pinch runner. Morgan's going to come in and run for Clark. On deck is Wesley Haynes. There's a shot that's going to be caught. Coming over, making the play is the second baseman for Fairfield. That's Snyder for out number 1. So coming up with 1 out now is Haynes. Bases are loaded. Rochester trailing by 4. Haynes represents the tying run. That one in for strike 1. On deck is Isaiah Escobar for the Zebras. That one gets away. Vance going to stay at third. That one gets away. Two balls, 1 strike here for Haynes. Bases loaded, 1 out, top of the 6th. Zebras trailing by 4. (3-1). Winner moves on. Tomorrow at 6 in the championship game. Loser plays at 5:30 against the winner of game number 14 or game number 12 coming up between Plymouth and Frankton. That one's going to be foul. Count goes full now for Haynes. Mass trying to find a way out of a jam here. Haynes trying to get a run in for the Zebras. And Mast gets it done. Strikeout looking. Haynes goes down for out number 2. And it's all down to this. Isaiah Escobar comes to the plate. 2 outs with the bases loaded. Swing and a miss. Escobar wanted that one. Strike 2. Mass trying to battle back after having bases loaded and no outs. Got Hook to pop up, struck out Haynes, and now has 2 strikes on Escobar. Count goes full. On deck is the leadoff hitter for the Zebras, 29, Wyatt Davis. Escobar can get on. Stays alive. Fouls that one back off the fence. Count stays full. Got to give Mast a lot of credit out there. He's battled back after having bases loaded with no outs. 1 strike away from ending this one. Inside corner. So Mast gets it done. Fairfield gets it done. Final score, Fairfield 6, Rochester 2. Fairfield gets to go home for the day, or wherever they're staying. Rochester is going to have to come back and play at 5:30 to stay alive. Coming up next, it's going to be Plymouth and Frankton for a chance to play Rochester at 5:30. So game number 11 of the tournament goes to Fairfield. Final score 6-2. We'll come back here with game number 12 between Frankton and Plymouth. Going to be an elimination game when we come back. Thanks for tuning in to our coverage here from the Frankton Town and Country Park. Thanks to everybody here at Frankton. Thanks, Scott Sager. I'll say good afternoon for this one. Come back here in just a moment when we get set for Plymouth and Frankton. Thanks for watching RTC TV4.